some shit, right? So, like, look, we don't make any money off this.
Guys,
people have tried out.
The big-ass mats are in front of you to use them. So don't worry about putting your drinks on the table. Put them on the mats, because every time you set it down, that sound of the drink going down,
Okay.
I'd rather it be on the mat than the table. And Jason already told you about that. You know about the speakers.
Yeah.
Just need to quick selfies.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, we do a post one too. Because we'll post today that, hey, episode 9 is in the books, etc. And then it takes us about a day between. I say we don't do any editing, but you have to upload it. You have to do you have to put our disclaimer on and do a few other things, and then the submission process to the groups takes a little bit. We always, I always try to watch it before I submit it, just in case there's something on there that really shouldn't be on there, but never really the case. And then it'll probably be live tomorrow-ish.
Nice.
So, but, I mean, Jameson's got pretty good at it. It might even be live today, just depending on how.
Yeah, because there's not much editing. You guys just put it together, piece it together, and then put it on your that probably takes most time, right?
Well, and most of the time it has to do with, like, if he has to get out of here too. So,
yeah.
Because like he does, is Run Club tonight, Jamie?
No, that's Wednesdays.
Yeah, so we might be good. Because like when we do it on Wednesdays, which we seem to do it a lot on, he has to get to Run Club and shit. So, and I'm not in a. It's whatever. So.
I assume this is us. We're not waiting on
Nope,
G
that's it.
or anything.
Nope, G's
Okay.
not coming in today.
Well, if you guys are ready,
Let's
I'm
do it.
recording now, so
We got to close the door and then we're good.
yeah. All right, let's do it.
All right. He's gonna close that door and then do a countdown. Then what I do is I do introductions and then we just go.
Perfect.
It's really just shoot from the hip shit, because that's what we do best.
It's gonna get hot in here. That's why we have the fan going, and it's ritual that it's set to 69 degrees.
Of
Totally
course.
appropriate.
Standard.
It's totally appropriate. Or not appropriate, depending on how you look at it.
Okay. We are good. Episode 9, countdown 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody, to the 9th episode of the 2546 Leatherhead Experience. And today's show I'm very excited about, because when I envisioned doing this podcast, it would, obviously get stuff out to the members, information about going on in the local and other things. Today's episode is one of the things I envisioned happening, because we're going to talk exclusively about firefighter health issues. And we have, I'm going to introduce you guys in a second, but I'm surrounded by Oligers.
You're good.
I'm in a Oliger family tree of sorts here today. I'm the off branch. But we have Dave Oliger with me. Dave's with me at Longbow Key.
Yep.
And he's one of our pure fitness gurus. In fact,
If you want to call it that.
2 years ago, went to Dave because I was feeling fat, because I was fat, and he sent me on a path, and now here I am today. But he's here today to talk about some personal stuff that he's done, self-experimenting. You know, so again,
health and wellness.
Yeah, our disclaimer is we're not providing medical advice. We're just providing some medical stuff we've done to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And then his brother Pete's here today, and Pete's here because without Pete, Dave probably wouldn't have done this journey. But Pete was kind of one of the driving forces in his life to get him going.
100%. I would not be at this table if it wasn't for Pete bringing it up.
Yeah,
So.
And so we're going to talk about PFAS here up front, right? And so, as we all know in the fire service, PFAS is kind of prevalent right now, and
it's only gaining traction too.
Yeah.
Like all the conferences I'm going to, everyone's bringing it up. The different vendors are trying to kind of answer this ongoing issue, and it's just gaining a lot of momentum right now. So there's a lot of studies currently happening.
Yeah.
Very few that, we have data from, but it's still new. So that's what makes this topic so interesting, I think.
Well, and I said Dave's one of our pure fitness gurus. Dave is also one of our training gurus. This guy goes to every training conference known to man, often pays for it out of his own pocket.
Yep.
Often gets his own time to do it, right? And then he comes back and he even teaches old salty dogs like myself a new thing or two, which I always appreciate.
Yep.
So he's always trying to better himself. And he goes to these things and he learns about this stuff and then he brings it back home and this is one of those things, right?
Yep.
And so you're right. It's at conferences. We talk about it in nauseum.
Yep. The vendors are talking about it. Yeah. The keynote speakers are talking about it. But you'll kind of get the same consensus of the materials or we're not where we need to be with it. You know, even the PFAS free gear isn't where they want to be with it. It's breaking down with washing. There's other toxins in there that they don't know are harmful or if they're more harmful. So the whole thing is just not there yet. So basically what we're going to talk about today is what we can do to, get us in a better spot health-wise and then retire healthy, which is every fireman's ultimate goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So and me from the union side, right? So spend a lot of time working towards trying to keep our members safe, health concerns. We just talked about, some pension stuff, the COLA stuff popping up at the FRS level. I want our firefighters to enjoy their pensions that they've earned for a long time. And so getting us to a healthier stage or a healthier state at that stage is something we talk about a lot at the union level. We talked about House Bill 929 last year. We wrote the language in that bill to say chemical-free gear, right? Not just PFAS, because we really, like you said, and the gear companies have told us this. Hey, we can have PFAS-free gear, but it has this in it instead, right? And it has that instead. And hell, we don't know if that's more harmful to us than the PFAS, right? And so, and there are the problems, like the PFAS-free gear breaks down in washings and or is heavier.
And different toxins that they don't know,
Yeah. And so
and it was interesting too, we'll get into it later, but like we were talking about it earlier, like all the different states now getting behind doing testings of different PFAS. If you go down that wormhole, it is insane. What
and it's
PFAS is everywhere.
Quick.
It's
changing very fast.
I mean, it's in our water. It's in the station environment with dust, rugs. Like it's crazy when you really boil it down.
I learned about it. It's our bottled water, right? It's in the bottles that holds our water. So, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So, it's everywhere. Now, I will say we can try to do better jobs, and we are, right? Because I did have a fire chief once tried to say, well, there's more PFAS in your water bottle than in your gear, and to which my response was, yeah, but except I'm not wearing that fucking water bottle, right? So if you want to play that game, we can play that game, but let's be real. Like, we need to know what's killing us and get better at it.
The data shows that that's probably not true.
Yeah, I know, but the Florida Fire Chiefs Association, which is the state organization for Florida fire chiefs, which almost all the fire chiefs are a part of now. Now, a lot of them, at least here locally, don't prescribe to a lot of what their leadership tries to put out there. But this chief did. He bit into it, hook, line, and sinker, to which I just said, okay, you're a dumbass, but that's cool.
And I think this podcast is going to do a good job once we get into the studies and whatnot to talk about what we can do to kind of minimize our exposure. And the my self-study I did on myself is those numbers were crazy. Like I said, if it wasn't for Peter, Pete can explain how we kind of started rolling this ball. But when I saw the numbers of after 5 trials of donating plasma, I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
And we're definitely going to talk about that today because you brought in, how we got here, right?
Yep.
So this is going back a few months. You said, hey, man, I've done a kind of little test.
Self-trial.
Guinea pig myself.
Yeah.
Right. And
well, I may have pushed him along.
Yeah. And so, my brother kind of helped me with this whole thing, And then you guys put it in writing, right?
Yep.
And kind of developed a paper on it. So
Well, and it just started off like, hey, I'm going to go to Jason with this just to get the word out there because I thought it was so powerful. And Pete literally showed up at my doorstep with the test.
Yeah, this is how it started. So I was sitting on the couch watching a YouTube documentary about PFAS.
Yeah.
And the documentary wasn't even about firefighters. But I was thinking back when I was watching the documentary about a photo that David had taken when he was in fire college. And it was with that foam that you guys use. And this is a foam he had told me since then that, hey, they found out there's these PFAS chemicals in it and that causes cancer. So we stopped using it. And I told him, I said, Dave, I'm watching this documentary and I'm seeing how big of a problem this is. And I'm remembering what you told me you should really get checked. Oh yeah, I'll do it. And he was training for a bodybuilding competition at the time.
yes,
And
which he
so-
does periodically.
I think he had he was just had his mind on that. But after about 2 months of him doing nothing, I ordered the test. I literally showed up at his front door and I said, hey, give me your thumb. We're going to prick your thumb. We're going to take some blood and we're going to see where you're at. Just because I want to make sure. He's young. I mean, Dave, you're 30.
Yep, 30.
Dave's 30 years old, right? And it's one of those things that if you can get ahead of, and if there's something you can actually do to mitigate it, it becomes very silly to not do it. Right?
Wow.
And I'd stumbled upon some articles, a study from Australia that we'll get into.
Yeah.
I think you showed up to the doorstep with the test and the study.
I might have,
Yeah, it was
I
one of
might have.
those.
Well, and just, to kind of give everyone an idea of what we're talking about, the study in Australia showed if you donate plasma, it has a huge reduction.
Yeah. I actually printed that up.
In reducing the PFAS levels. So they did two things. They did one group that was donating whole blood and one group that was donating plasma,
Yep.
right?
You gotta have different testing subjects, and then probably one that didn't do anything. Right?
Exactly.
So,
They had the three groups, one that didn't do anything too, and there was 300 of them.
Yep.
So they all did the testing.
I think it was Prince Victoria Fire District or Fire, whatever they
Yeah.
call them over there, right? Something like that to that effect.
Yeah, then I got the numbers right here. So with the plasma donations, so they donated.
So let's back up a little
Yep.
bit. So just so everybody understands, the study was done in Australia, right? 285 firefighters participated in this study,
Correct.
right? Some gave plasma, some gave whole blood every 6 or 12 weeks, right? They had different spans, right? And this is all online. I literally just pulled up a freaking 20-page report on it, right?
And this is kind of the catalyst of the movement from what I've at least seen.
They started this from what I've seen.
And then of course you got to have the subjects that don't do anything, so you have baseline of all that stuff, right?
Correct.
So they did all this, right? And so now we can, so the members understand what the heck we're all talking about. So
Correct.
So then what?
So then, like you said, the plasma group donated every 6 weeks. The whole blood donated every 12 weeks because you can donate plasma more often than you can whole blood.
Okay.
So that's another important thing.
Okay.
And then the observation group did nothing. So after it was all said and done, it was a year trial, 52 weeks. They saw a reduction in plasma donation with a reduction in PFAS by 30%
Okay.
throughout. And then the whole blood was 10%. So you also got some benefits with the whole blood. And then the test subjects that didn't do anything, 0%.
Yeah.
And then also they came up to the conclusion that the PFAS or the forever chemicals bind to the protein in the plasma more readily than they do in whole blood. So that was the big kind of the
gotcha.
difference there.
I got you.
Yeah.
And so so I've met your mom through some of the process. You guys have like a brood of Oligers, by the way.
There's a lot of us. There's a whole
couple of us,
clan.
Yeah, there's a ton of you.
Yeah.
But I'm sure meeting your mom and a little bit, I've talked to her. She's been very proud that you two are looking after each other in this case. So,
Well, and we should talk about David's numbers, what they actually came back as.
yeah, we're going to.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So he comes and shows up to your house. You're fucking doing this, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not letting you out of this any longer. And then you get your first results back, and you guys go on this course of over a year of doing plasma donations, tracking it, et cetera, et cetera. You've actually wrote a paper about it, which I keep here at the office. So anybody who wants to come and
It's
see
this
it.
one right here.
Yep. But this is all
Oh, yeah,
all
that-
our data.
yeah. Yep,
There's
that's
the
it.
paper. There's all his data. Dave's actually showing his reports from his from his blood work and everything else. If anybody wants to see it, come into the office and see it. I can't simply put up a 20-page report online, but but we have it here available. We have talked at the executive board meetings with your DVPs about this stuff, and then I'm going to tell you after we get through what your process was.
Yep.
I've got a little bit of follow up on where I'm trying to get the local to. So go ahead and talk about your process.
So first off, when Pete showed up my door, I had to take the test. The test was super simple. It was a prick on the finger, and then basically you fill up these Q-tips. So you fill up these Q-tips, you clip the package, you put the postage on, and you send it back. So seamlessly. And results were really quick, probably like a week time. I got my numbers back.
You get them in your email or whatever. Right?
And I want to preface these numbers by, at the time, 29 years old, bodybuilder, takes care of himself.
Yes.
Right? I think that's an important.
So
I mean, he's our department nutritionist. Yeah. Like that's like when I was going through my being fat guy, right? That's what I wanted. I said, dude, just give me a nutrition plan. Because for me, to be honest with you, like I for me, my weight, most of mine is I don't intake good food, right? So give me something to help me track macros, calories.
And I enjoy writing the plans too.
Yeah,
so he came to me and I was like, no problem.
Yeah, send it to me. So yeah, the dude's I call him Endless Summer because his body is always, if he takes his shirt off, I tell him to put it right back on because I don't want my wife looking at him and drooling over him. Right. So, but yes, great shape. Takes care of his body, nutrition-wise, et cetera, et cetera.
Been on the job 11 years now, too. I have, like, compared to you guys and, some of my co-workers, that's just a fraction of time. So just to kind of give you how high of a percentage I was, 11 years on. So I got these numbers back, and I was 93% higher than the normal, person.
Yeah.
So
general public.
The general public, and it was almost to the top. High risk, everything's in red. And I was like, oh boy, 5 PFAS detected, certain PFAS that breaks it down in that chart.
Yeah.
Ones that, show serious cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, and on extreme where it's highlighted in red. And I was like, oh boy. So thank goodness Pete came by and I was like, all right, I'm going to start donating plasma.
Yeah. And you're a young guy, right? And so we just, we talked about it being the union guy that I am. Like I want, a couple of epidemics in the fire service right now, cancer and suicide, right? And so my job as the leader of this organization is to try to limit that as much as we can. You're a young guy. You have your whole life ahead of you. Young family, right? A young bride and the alternator, the dog.
My dog.
Yeah,
he's the best.
And you want to live for 50 years and enjoy that, and so it's very concerning when you see stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So what was interesting, me and Pete got together. We're like, what's the protocol going to be? We don't have a roadmap. We kind of have seen the Australian studies. We're like, what should we do? And Pete's like, just double it. We'll cut it in half. We'll do it every 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, once a month, I can do that. So that's what we did. So it's every 3 weeks and after 5 donations, I was going to retest and then kind of just see where I went. So the test is broken down in 3 different levels. So they have like a NASM level, which is to show their total overall plastic and bloods. And they have a whole spectrum. So that came back as a high 25.7. 5 PFAS detected, and then the total measurable PFAS came at 13.2. Now, 5 donations later, it cut
3 months.
5 donations, 3 months later, it cut everything in half. So I went from a high exposure limit down to a medium.
Okay.
So it went from 25.7 to 11.4.
Okay.
Which was a 55% reduction.
Yep.
In 3 months. I ended up going from 5 PFAS detected in my blood to 4.
Okay.
And then my total measurable PFAS went from 13.2 to 5.8.
Perfect.
And to put that in perspective, it takes about a decade for these chemicals to get out of your body naturally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Based on all the studies we're seeing.
That's why we call them forever chemicals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So about a decade, the damage it can do to your body in the meantime. So in 3 months, we cut them in half.
Yeah. I almost expected Relentless Health, who's the company, to reach out to me. Like I was like, they're going to be like, what is this? And and then the total conclusion of my overall test was, so my NASM score, which was like the overall level, went from 93, which is 93% higher than the general population, down to 63% in 3 months. And that's when I was like, I got to call Jason. Like, this is...
That's when we showed up.
Yeah, that's when we showed up at your door, and you're like, well, I'm starting a podcast. We should get this information. I think it's an important conversation to have. You're like, hey, if you can get out there and donate plasma, you'd really, put the needle in the right direction.
Yeah, but I mean, unfortunately right now, as we talked about, there's no way to eliminate this totally from our job, right?
Yeah, the cost of doing business, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, you're a guy who works out in gear all the time, and we have guys who do it, and
Oh, and let me preface that.
yeah,
During this time,
yeah,
I did 2 fire conferences, all live burns.
Yeah.
So Lauderdale, Orlando. I worked out in my gear at least once a week from October to February because me and my crew were training for the conference. We wanted to come in good shape.
Yeah.
So I was actively in my gear constantly, and it dropped by 55%.
yeah, yeah, which
is
kind of what we need to be at, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not, we have
can't
to wear
stop
gear.
exposure.
Yep,
Yeah, we
exactly.
We got even in between
So how
fire
can we remove
alarms
it?
and
running calls, gas leaks, everything.
accidents, everything. We got to get in gear. Right?
Yep.
That's just the way it is.
So this gave me a lot of confidence. I was like, okay, I can still move the needle in the right direction and still not drop my level of service. I still can come in, do my job, feel good about it. And then after our 3-alarm fire, next day, plasma donation.
Gotcha.
It's like that's part of my regiment now.
I got you.
So
And you're still doing that. So are you doing it every 3 weeks, every month?
no, now I'm going to drop it back to quarterly.
Okay.
So I've decided to taper back. It was, after the plasma donations, you're pretty tired and
Well, also
it's draining.
let's talk about that a little bit. So, you go to give plasma, right? So
Yes.
I went a few weeks back to give blood. I didn't give plasma, but I felt tired after,
Yep.
whatever. But talk about that. So you sit there. How long are you in the chair for?
Okay,
It's
so
a
you're
little bit, right?
It's a long time.
okay.
Especially your first 2 sessions. Plasma donation is lengthy. So my first 2 sessions were about 3.5 hours, which is a long time.
Yeah. So you got to be able to commit the time.
You got to commit the time.
They do pay you.
They do pay you. In your first 2, you do get.
Even for the PFAS full plasma.
I asked the
still
physician about that. Yeah, they're
still want it?
They still want it. They're like the
Yeah.
benefits outweigh the
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So you get there, right?
Yeah.
You go in, you have to show them identification, proof of address, all
they do
that.
a set of vitals,
Yep.
all that stuff.
Check-in video, and then you have to answer about 100 questions, and then do that whole spiel. And in between each section, you're sitting down waiting for a worker to be able to see you. Check-in video, taking pictures because you got to get your ID, answer a questionnaire, 60 to 100 health questions, depending on what your answers are on some of them. Then you're seen by the physician who does a physical assessment, and then you're seen by somebody who does the pre-screening. So they check your protein and your blood. They make sure you're hydrated. They check your weight. They take your vitals. After that, then you sit down. You wait for another worker to come up to you to when you're actually about to go donate plasma. So that whole pre-process was about 2.5 hours, and then donating the actual plasma takes about 45 minutes.
Okay. All right.
And then so it's a lengthy process that hopefully if the fire service starts going a certain way, we can streamline that.
Yeah, where if we got a company per se that, hey, I got 1,600 members and they want to donate plasma periodically, and after the first session or 2 that they're here, can we streamline this process to where they show up? You got to grab a set of vitals. We get that, right?
Yep.
And put them in the chair so they can get out of here in an hour, right?
Yeah,
Because they
exactly.
got a life too, right? So
Yeah, but now the process is much easier since I'm in the system.
Okay.
Now it's only like a 13 to 15 question thing, just
okay,
real quick.
reaffirming you haven't left the country. and that
Exactly.
kind of
So
shit,
it takes
right?
about an hour 15 now.
Okay. All right.
But I will say, long term, these are not the facilities you probably want to be going to on a regular basis. Would you agree, Dave?
Yes.
Just
Very busy,
yeah.
high traffic.
Yeah.
It just needs to be a little bit more streamlined, I think, to be more useful and beneficial for the fire service. We like things easy, the path of least resistance. So
Okay.
I think if it is something we implement we do a pretty good job implementing our health and wellness. I mean, in the last 5 years in the fire service, I know you've seen it. It's like health and wellness has taken a front seat.
Yeah,
You know, it's been awesome to see.
And we're also it's revamping all the time. So, you know, like at Longboat for years we used LifeScan, and then we now use the SMH system.
Yep.
And that's evolving, right? Because they're new to the firefighter physical stuff, and they're doing more enhanced blood work on us based on blood metals and some other caveats and cancer markers. There's all kinds of stuff evolving all the time.
Absolutely.
And so with that, after, because we had talked, right? You came to me and said, hey, man, you're the one guy I know might be able to push the needle on this stuff because of my position within just the local and then the statewide stuff. Chief Desi and I have been talking about this, about you and your study and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Brown, who's the doc kind of overseeing the Jellison Cancer Center at SMH, is retiring. However, they're going to let him stay on because he doesn't want to be retired, right? He still wants to work and do some kind of educational, you know, something going on. So him and I have a meeting with him coming up that Desi and I do, Chief Desi and I do.
Nice.
To discuss this and getting our members, what I like to see is different members at different stages, and you know, to create our own
Diversified group.
Yeah.
of our own Australian study. Because
I mean,
I
it would
think you
be-
guys mentioned that like California and Arizona.
Yeah,
are starting to-
Arizona has a massive one. How many was it? 1,500.
Yeah.
Or
It was a
2,000?
and that's going on right now, right?
It's just they finished
Okay.
the studies, but they haven't released the results. Those are supposed to come sometime this year.
Yeah,
So
okay.
since we've started this, other states are very much looking at this as well.
Okay.
Yeah, because when we came to sit down with you and just
Yeah.
say, hey, I got something interesting here.
Yeah.
Since then, I mean, California has a couple studies, Arizona has a few studies, and it's just like, it seems like a domino, which is great to give that conversation out here. Be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what's going on, and there are ways to, you know,
Yeah.
combat this. And it's even interesting, like the Arizona one was super detailed. Like it talked about drinking water, well versus filtered. It talked about station environment, you know, dust, products of combustion, all these things. And they went down, well, if you remove your carpet in your station, you're going to minimize PFAS by 20 something percent.
Wow.
If you drink filtered water, this is how you can minimize products combustion, decon on scenes. It was a whole breakdown. I don't have the exact numbers for it.
And I'm very excited for that study because I've got a feeling, you know, everything you do obviously is incremental differences, but we know that the plasma is a massive difference. And I think we're likely, it's just a guess, right? I haven't seen the study. I think we're likely going to see that in that Arizona study as well. And this is the University of Arizona, by the way. So the university is doing this.
Yeah.
So it should be really, really good to see.
Yeah. So we're in our initial discussions with Doc Brown because we're setting up our own guinea pig group, right? Because we want
Yep.
different ages, different sexes, different times on the job.
Years of service, yeah.
You know, to kind of gauge.
Hazmat guys, non-hazmat guys.
Yes, right. Spec op guys, all that stuff. So the idea would be, hopefully, that Dr. Brown takes this on. I get it out to our group to get, for lack of a better term, human guinea pigs, right?
Yep.
And get people involved. And then you talk. I mean, one of the things you hit on today, and then you hit on the day we met was, getting us to a place where we can just show up and do this, right? So they have the facilities there, obviously, at SMH to do that and say,
Yep.
okay, for the next week, our firefighters are going to come in off duty at these times. You set up your time, show up, and you show up at 8, you're out there by 9:30 or
Yep.
whatever the time is, right? So to kind of streamline that process, these things take time, obviously. But my end goal would be able to have a testing group from here, from Sarasota, Bradenton, Charlotte County area that I in charge of, and then be able to take that through my position at the state level and talk to our state reps and state senators in this area and say, hey man, this is kind of some of the shit I want to show you, what's going on.
Here's some real numbers.
And then maybe form a bill of sorts, right? This is how we've talked about how we got the cancer benefit a few times on this show, the process of that. One of them is the data. So you have to have the data, right? So how we got the cancer process started was, for years we're banging our head against the wall. Hey, we're getting cancer, we're getting cancer, we're getting cancer. We didn't know the why. So we got the state, I'm talking over a decade ago, to fund a grant to the Sylvester Center down at the University of Miami. I think the first one was like $250,000. And then next year we got $500,000.
Yep.
And then the next year we got $1 million. And then we're seeing results from this, so we got state rep so-and-so or state center so-and-so to keep sponsoring it, to get more money. And then eventually we had data. So then we can say, okay, these cancers we are definitively getting higher at a higher rate, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how we got that passed, right? So this would be the kind of, the acorn of this.
Yep.
Right. So put it in the ground and start it here, get the data, which probably would take a year and a half, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You want to write the SMH will write the paper on it, right? Doc Brown, hopefully.
And
not the Doc Brown.
probably can do everything in house, right? The testing,
Yes.
so you don't have to do third party.
Yes.
Just everything's done through
that
them.
would be the idea. One stop shop, right?
Yep.
That's the kind of thought process, at least for me. And then get, the paper out there, and then allow me and my other state leaders, and because I'm one of 14 or 13 DVPs now, and so get it to those guys so they can talk to their state reps and state senators and start getting funding for this stuff. Because we talked about, I think it was on the last show, we're getting ALS and Parkinson's at a higher rate, right? So Parkinson's, we actually last year through a House bill by Demi Brasada from Miami, is now starting that process at USF. We have grant money going to USF to try to figure out why it is we're getting Parkinson's at such a high rate.
Wow.
Right. And best guess is it's all the stuff we expose ourselves to, right? So cancer is one of the issues. ALS is another issue. Parkinson's is another issue. Dementia is another issue.
It's a CVS receipt of issues.
Well, and they've just linked Parkinson's to like fertilizers on golf courses and some other things. And, these PFAS, it's just another environmental exposure, right? That we know it's not good for you, but they still don't fully understand the extent of the damage that these cause.
Well, I also will say this too. So, and maybe it's just my own, thought process, but my grandparents, and we were talking about this at the station the other day. So my grandparents, that generation, it seemed like, like people got cancer, but it didn't seem like that many, right? But at the time, they didn't have everything made out of plastic, right? They had a lot of like natural woods and fibers in their furniture and their clothing, right? Food. Processed food is, don't even get me started on processed food.
You go in the grocery store.
Home Slice turned me on of how bad processed food is for you, right? When he was just talking about nutrition, like, hey, dude, if you just cut out processed food, you'll probably just drop weight.
Yeah, stay to the outside of the grocery store. You'll be all right.
Yeah,
Tough to do.
Yeah. I mean,
it is tough to do. It's because it's not
tasty.
easy. It takes
it's salty and sweet and all that good stuff we want, right? But if you just removed processed food from your diet, you can probably never gain a pound. Like I went overseas to Germany.
Yeah, we talk about this often. It's so true.
I ate probably, my estimate, because I went over there being like, hey, I'm on vacation. I was there for Oktoberfest. And I ate and drank like a king. And my intake was probably 4,500 calories a day. I came home, I was 3 pounds lighter. I don't know
European
how.
way. Yeah.
I don't know how, right? I felt like my God.
Never bloated.
Yeah. I felt like I was going to be 15 pounds heavier. I came home, I was 3 pounds lighter than when I left. And
Maybe I just need to take a trip to Germany.
Then I came home and I ate a pizza here and I almost threw up, right? Because it was like, oh my God, what is all this crap in it, right? So, but yeah, if you just remove so natural fibers, processed foods, right? That stuff. And you look at our cancer rates now, mostly in America, right? If you look at European cancer rates compared to ours, it's way less.
Yeah,
a lot of their
doesn't surprise me.
Way less.
Yeah,
Wow.
which again, processed foods, they're more apt to use natural fibers for a lot of their stuff, right? Not petroleum based plastics because they're cheaper, right? I mean, we buy unfortunately, most of our shit from China, which ain't exactly.
I mean, and this is what's burning in our fires too.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
petroleum base, everything.
We talked about it at the last. Everything burns hotter, faster, darker.
Yep.
We're breathing it in. We're absorbing it in our skin. It doesn't matter how much gear we put on ourselves; it's still getting on us.
Yep.
And so, between the processed foods and that stuff, at least this is again, not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just my own thoughts on that's probably at least a good portion of why our cancer rates in America are so much higher now.
Yeah.
Right? And nobody wants to talk about that shit because it'll cost companies a lot of money if we went to European lifestyles, right? Even just trying to get rid of glyphosate in our food because they just throw a fit about it because, oh my God, your food's going to spoil. No, it's not. Just put it in the fucking store and we'll buy it, right? So anyway.
Speaking of cancers, with my PFAS levels, I think there's a certain PFAS, I think it's called a PFAO or something. Not sure which one, but that is directly linked to prostate. Did I already mention this? The prostate cancer and everything like that.
Colorectal.
Yeah, which is huge in the fire service.
Testicular cancer.
Testicular cancer.
Huge.
And that specific chemical is what you get from the products of combustion. So when you're on a fire, that is specifically linked to anything like that. And my number's cut in half. So I think it was 98%.
Do you have them in front of you, Dave? Can you look at what those are? I think we got them in the study.
Yeah.
Here's the study.
Yeah.
I think it's got it right here.
So that also goes back to, so when we created the cancer bill, we also put in part of that bill was putting into the administrative code of Florida for fire departments a best practices on that stuff. And it's the deconning on scene. It's the 2 sets of gear. It's the extracting, gear extractors.
Yes.
Which honestly, our department does an excellent job at. Our new station's built with a gross decon room.
Yep.
Where
Both stations have extractors too.
Yeah.
We're spoiled in that sense.
Yeah,
that's not always the case.
I have a great fire chief in that sense, right?
Yep.
Our Chief Desi has even before we had the cancer bill, was already talking about it, trying to get 2 sets of gear because he was reading stuff on it, and his dad died of, I want to say, colon cancer or something to that effect. His dad was a fireman for Philly, longtime fireman for Philly. His sons, three of his 4 sons now are 3rd generation firefighters.
Yep.
1 works for Sarasota, 2 work for Northport, and so this job means a lot to him, and he's lost a lot of friends to cancer, and so he just kind of did a deep dive on it and was already talking about 2 sets of gear. And, shower within the hour. We had a shower within the hour protocol before. That was the sexy thing to say.
Yeah. He's been very proactive with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
So I found it here. So it's PFO. That's what it is. A PFO, it's another common PFA. So this is a group 2B classified as possibly carcinogenic to humans. So strong human evidence has been kidney cancer, testicular cancer, prostate, bladder, and thyroid cancers.
All on our cancer sheet, right?
And so my numbers of the PFOs, my initial on August 25th was 1.08. Mm-hmm. On January 2026, it was 0.53, which is a 51% reduction of that plastic in my blood.
That's awesome.
So that in itself, because that's a big one, like you said, all in our cancer bill. A lot of firemen are getting it.
Yeah.
Well,
So and that's just from the plasma donations.
And you mentioned this gentleman is from Philly, right? He was at a busy firehouse.
His dad,
And again, Dave's 30 years old, healthy, and he's Longboat Key Fire Station.
And he has all that.
And imagine if you're 45 or 55 and you're in a department or a city where you're running calls all day long. Yeah. And you're exposed to more of everything with less time to do all these procedures, what their levels look like.
Absolutely.
And the longevity increase this could have potentially.
Yeah. Dave and I both, prior to working for Longbow, you worked for Marion, I worked for Orange County.
Shout out Marion.
Who, by the way, just nailed a contract.
They crushed it. Well deserved. I'm going to be great guys, the best.
Yeah. And so, I remember, I got in. I hit the streets in 2004. I started in 2003, but hit the streets in 2004. And and just back then it was, you know, we had 2,600 bottles, so you weren't going on air for stuff. There, I mean, shit. I had senior guys who would tell you. Now, I wasn't ever brave enough not to, but they would tell you not to wear your no-mix hood because if your ears start burning, I mean, it was too hot and you needed to get out. Right? That was their.
It's a different
I had an
time.
old salty engineer whose ears looked like a gremlin had chewed on him, because he's like, as soon as my ears start burning, it's time to move, right? And that was their thing. So different breed, right? And but different fires, right? So
100%.
So that's 23 years ago.
Well, even 10 years ago for me, it was a different game. You know, there wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, each district had one extractor. So you got a fire. It was like you had to go to that station, put your gear in the extractor. You're doing it coming off duty. You just had a long shift. You know, it's a tough thing to stay on top of. You really had to stay on top of it.
And like Jason's saying, different fires, right? Now you have electric car fires and you have all sorts of different, you know, things, even in the last 10 years that you didn't have, you know, just not that long ago.
Yeah. Well, and so it's, you know, we went from, like I talked about with my grandparents, like I remember my mam's freaking house. I think the whole damn thing was wood, right? Even the house, like the house, the furniture, fucking everything was wood. And, you know, you had a couch that was like wood and cotton, you know, and the shit burns clean for the most part, right? And there might have been a little bit in there, but now no such thing exists.
There's no such thing.
No such thing
Room and
exists.
a nice pre-connect fire.
Your cabinets are connected with glue. You're
Not on longboat, at least. And I always joke with the guys. I'm like, you know, it would be nice, a nice little pre-connect job. I'm like, we don't get those.
We don't.
Everything's extended time. We're on scene forever. You know, with the electrical batteries, like Pete was saying.
like the boat fire you had.
Yeah, I
we had to
was
sink
12
that
hours.
boat.
Yeah,
And we had to sink that boat. That's how we put that boat
And it burned
out.
underwater for how long?
For a while.
for a while.
We were just standing there watching it bubble underneath the water. Like
The name of the boat, Steady AF. That was the real name of the boat.
So we were on scene. That was a good one. And we literally got to the point where like just sink it and let the Coast Guard figure it out, right? And I was an engineer on the first engine, and so I was doing all the pumping and all that stuff. We were on sea so long that the engine almost ran out of gas.
Mr. Fitness was in the boat. He was the one in the boat at the front.
I know he was. I was.
Hey, Jameson was there too.
Yeah, Jamie was there too.
Jamie was there.
We were out there all night. That was an all.
Yeah, it was 12 hours. I didn't even make my bed.
Yeah, and
just went home.
And I remember, like, we were sitting on scene, waiting. They were like, "Hey, we're just gonna have your relief come get you guys," because we had made it all the way to shift change. And I looked down at the gas, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I turned the engine off because it was on E. And I'm like, my pass on to my relief was, "Hey, bro, sorry, man, but we were flowing water. We were flowing water this whole time, and I hope you can get home. If not, they could just tow you, you know." And I like the exhaust from the engine was blowing on the grass. I burnt the grass because it was up next to a grass median. Like the grass was just completely brown.
So then after they took the boat up and they realized there was 4 grocery-sized carts of e-batteries.
Yeah.
So that's what was burning the whole time. So it was a losing battle. But that's what, that's the new name of the game right now. Everyone's dealing with it, trying to, all these EV fires and
Well, do they know about that smoke and what that does, what that has in it, you know?
Yeah, no, it's everything, you know, and let's just say there's not too much stuff, at least where we work, that isn't modern, right? So everything is made with ethymethyl something, right? And you know, they're not buying whole wood cabinets from the Amish market, right? They're buying whatever freaking fancy shit is, and like Dave said, you know, people kid me, "Oh, you work along, you know, no, we fight fires," and our problem is our fires are they're
extensive.
Yeah, we got.
There's
one.
no pre-connect jobs. I tell people that all the time.
We had a 3-alarmer.
Yeah,
you know, it's like because it's 2 3-story buildings connected to each other, and it's like that's not going out.
And
easy.
we have 4 guys on scene.
Square foot mansion.
I will say the one time we had on our shift, we had a pre-connect fire. It was an apartment. We made a grab, put the fire out in like 10 minutes. Like, hey man, we know what we're doing. We just most of the time we don't get this shit.
Yeah, there's no bread and, as they say, bread and butter.
Yeah, most of the time we're just doing extended operations, bro. We need some help. You know, there's only 10 of us out there. You know, so.
Yeah, it's a different world out there. It is.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps the job fun, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have, and so like we talked about the Australian study, it's online as well. We have Dave's study. And then just, as we, the IFF is doing a lot. IAFF, sorry, is doing a lot in regards to this. We actually have a federal lawsuit right now in the federal courts against the NFPA.
Wow.
The NFPA and some of the gear companies. So what's happening is like the PFAS is in our liner of the gear, right? Thermal liners. And the gear companies for a long time now through state legislation. So part of the reason why we did 929 the way we did was one of the things is we have 35,000 firefighters in the state of Florida now. And it's like, okay, if we make a state of our size, we're the third biggest per number of firefighters, third biggest behind California and Texas. If a state of our size says we're going to go PFAS free, and it might encourage a gear company to say, well, fuck, the R&D to that is worth it, right? Because then I can have 35,000 firefighters buying gear from my company if I can be the first one to do it, right? So that was part of that process. So the IAFF has a federal lawsuit against the NFPA because the NFPA for years said, well, they put this, it was a UV test. And the liner had to pass this UV test. What UV has to do with fucking thermal liners inside of our gear, I don't know. But they said if it didn't pass this UV test, it couldn't be certified for gear. Well, then the gear companies use that as saying, well, the only thing we can make that can certify per NFPA has to have PFAS in it, right? That was their excuse for that. And it's like, okay, well, one doesn't, in our mind, one doesn't correlate to the other because why do you need UV tests? So we filed a federal lawsuit basically saying the NFPA is failing us. They're in cahoots with the gear companies, which the Florida Fire Chiefs Association, not our chiefs here locally, but the Fire Chiefs Association is in cahoots with the gear companies. I'll fucking say it live and on public, right? Because those vendors pay these chiefs to take trips and come see our shit and get a free steak and all that other stuff, right? So there's some chiefs in the higher up organizations who are not acting appropriately. And I have no problem saying that because I'll call them out. We have vendors call me all the time for stuff for here because they want to get to my members, and I tell them, hell no, we don't sell our members out to nobody. Or we have some great fire chiefs in 2546 doing some good things. Sarasota County's already doing it. Venice is already doing it. Inglewood's already doing it. We're looking into it, right? Northport's already doing it. North River already has PFAS free gear ish, right?
How's it going for them? Have they said?
It's good.
Yeah. It seems like everything's kind of hit or miss on it right now.
Well,
it's a bit too early though, you know.
What are they doing in Europe? Do you know?
I don't.
Because they're very strict on a lot of the stuff like you were mentioning earlier.
I really don't.
I'm curious, if they're doing.
Well, I will
making
also
any
say
headway
this:
over there.
Europeans fight fires a lot different than we do. So
And have different helmets.
yeah, well, that too. They look like they're going to
they're very
motocross and shit. But Europeans, I was in Germany. We were on the Autobahn one day going from Germany to Austria, and we were delayed because there was a car fire. It was on the other side, but everybody, people looking at the fire. So as we were driving by the fire, I see these 4 space men, right, in their suits. They had a Quint like truck. They had the Quint up, and the Quint was putting out the car fire. The 4 guys were just standing around the truck.
That's how they roll. Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck does that work, right?
Oh, here you.
So
Here you go.
yeah, he's pulling some stuff.
European
up for us.
firefighter gear is transitioning to be completely PFAS free.
Yeah.
Well, it
Makes sense in Europe too, though. They do a lot
particularly
of
in countries like Germany. There you go.
defensive and exterior operations.
Yeah,
They do.
A lot of them are already using PFAS free, not just transitioning.
Well, you also have to look at their building construction.
Yeah.
It's masonry.
Yeah,
It's totally
it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
They aren't going interior trying to make a push down a hallway.
It's
So
not their
like-
style, right? And which I don't necessarily agree with, right? Because I got in this job to save lives, and I don't mind risking my life to save somebody else. So that's okay. I get it that they have a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a different world.
It is. It is.
But regardless, it's interesting to see that they're also seeing this even with less exposure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, let's just face it. Our country sometimes, as great as it is failing us in other ways. One of them is, I will say this, is probably in health and medicine and all that stuff. Because
Profit over health. Right?
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into the politics of socialized medicine because that will just set people off, right? But I will say this: if the government's on the hook for a bill, for the medical bill, the government is probably more apt to find a cure for whatever the hell that bill is, right? So we're talking, let's say cancer. Like there's a lot of good stuff with stem cell studies and other things going on in Europe that we're not doing here for various reasons. And some of it has to do with the fact that the government is more involved in trying to find a cure, where here, private companies probably mostly run our medicine, and they're more about treatment because there's more money in treatment than cures. Because if you cure somebody, they're no longer a client, right?
These are they're it's also societal trends.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
In Europe, they're much as a population.
Yeah.
They're much more health conscious.
Yeah.
Right. In the United States, think back to the early 2000s. You had the Super Size Me and all that stuff, and then even in the United States, we've had a bit of a health kick. So you've gotten rid of the bigger meals. We've seen more healthy, fast food chains.
But now
it's just we're moving slower, but we are moving that direction, I think.
Well, I think some of it too is like, you see these people with the GLPs and now they found a cheat code, which I don't necessarily agree with one way or the other, but I hope Americans don't think of that as a cheat code and say, well, now I can eat whatever I want, just less, right? Because
Can't be dependent on it.
Well, because you preach on time, calories in, calories out. Now calories matter, right? So a 400 calorie piece of steak is probably a lot better than a 400 calorie snowball, right?
Yeah.
Blood work matters too.
The hard part is this, though. Now even some of the healthy food has stuff in it here that you don't have in Europe or other places. So even if you're trying to make health conscious decisions, it's really hard.
Especially vegetables.
And it's the same thing with the PFAS. They can try to do all this gear, right? But at the end of the day, like you've got a GLP-1 shot to help with that, maybe giving plasma is the way you help with some of this.
And to bring it back to NFPA, I'm curious, have you seen or heard of any additional studies of like, hey, this is here's our gear now. This is the certain, limitations we're pushing it to see when, like said, PFAS are released or how much, any other additional supporting.
I don't know. I know the IAFF is doing that stuff, but remember, NFPA is a weird conglomerate.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Because it's got firefighters, it's got the union, it's got doctors, it's got fire chiefs, it's got insurance companies, right? Which I don't know.
It's the umbrella.
Yeah, I don't know why the fuck that matters, but it does according to FBA. So you got these groups, all with their own, objectives, agendas, right? And most time they get it right. Sometimes they don't. Right?
Yeah.
Because even like the NFPA staffing standards, now we have groups out there fighting against those staffing standards to say, well, you don't really need 4-man engine because you can do it with this or that or whatever. So even they're Fitch and Associates is one of them. They'll do staffing. They're a hostile group to the IAFF. We've recognized them as a hostile group. They do these staffing recommendations, and all of their staffing recommendations magically say you don't need that many, right? So there's all kinds of groups with agendas out there pushing their own deal, and the NFPA isn't exactly. I get it.
So the IAFF is kind of leading the research for the PFAS gears.
What they're trying to do is one get people. Well, they're trying to get gear companies to do it, right?
Yeah,
and
I feel bad for the vendors too, because each time you talk to them, they're like, "We're doing our best to try to get the best product out there."
They are.
But it's tough when something's at a high demand, and it's like, "Hey, the technology isn't there yet," and they're doing their best, but I mean, that's a lot of money to probably test things, and
but yeah, it is, and
In the meantime, though, before, this isn't going to be a quick fix. The gear, it's just not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think getting the information out of the donating the plasma is something we can do as line guys to be like, hey, this is going to be
Well,
beneficial.
you
for
don't
us.
have to wait on government regulation to do it if you
Exactly.
don't want.
We can
you
be
can go
a
out there
little
and do it
proactive.
yourself. Again, not health advice, right? But it's something anybody could do if they wanted to.
Yes.
Yep.
So and we're working on that on the side.
Yep.
But yeah, and then like here, this is just coming right off the IFF stuff is, firefighting foam, and it's still being unfortunately AFFF is being still used in the military a lot. We've done a good job on this side, private governments on this side of getting rid of that stuff, but it's still being used a lot in the military. We talked about this last episode. I don't know how you put out jet fuel fires without that stuff yet.
Yeah.
Right? There's a certain component to that. Obviously, the turnout gear, but we have seen the foam phase out, right? Getting out of the foam, and then PFAS-free gear, and then it says right here, legal action. The AFF has initiated legal proceedings against organizations like the NFPA to remove standards that previously mandated the use of PFAS in gear testing.
And other good stuff to even build off that, keeping the station clean, dust-free, drinking filtered water. Those are all things.
Well, I'm excited for that Arizona study.
Yeah,
because
I know that's going to be a game changer, I think.
Yeah.
And the data should be coming out. The testing is done.
Yeah, they've
We're just
concluded
waiting
all
on
of the testing,
Yep.
and they said it will be in the next. It sounds like the next several months.
Yeah.
So this summer is kind of what they had said.
Okay, well then we'll just hopefully see that, and then
Get something going on the front
and,
here in Florida too.
and entice some groups here in Florida to get something
Yeah.
going.
And I think it's pretty comprehensive too. It breaks down a lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
I think it's
what I
gonna be
like about it is
interesting.
it wasn't just plasma, blood. And, I mean, they tried, like you said, David,
Station
all kinds of the
environment.
station environments, water, everything. I already have a theory on what direction it's going to go, but I think once we see all the data, it's going to give people some great
And
information.
like you said, it mentioned prior military service members showed increased PFAS. So that's interesting that you
Well,
mentioned that. So
we have a state rep here, one of our local state reps, Bill Connerly. So Bill was in the Navy, and this year he got a bill through to remove PFAS from everything we use. Our gear stuff's already in there, but the foams and everything we use. But he had mentioned it to me. So he got in office last year, and I talked to him about the PFAS stuff and the gear because of House Bill 929. He started doing his own deep dive. The trip from Bradenton to Tallahassee is not exactly short. 4.5, 5 hours of your own time.
yep.
He started listening in on podcasts and scientific studies on PFAS stuff and said, hey, I want to do something, and created a bill this year to do something. But he had mentioned that when he was in the Navy, they would use PFAS foam to clean equipment because it was super sticky and got all the grease out and everything else, right? So he's just sitting there with with his hands.
That's wild.
Getting in the little crevices and all
Like
that
they
stuff.
say, it smells clean. It's clean.
Rinse it off. It gets it all, nice and shiny, and it's like, okay,
Oh,
cool. And then
man.
slide it back on whatever piece it came out of, right? And so that opened his eyes to it. But so that makes sense in the military because, and between the foams, I mean, we taught Joey Reyes, and we used to, when I was in fire school,
Yeah,
we played in
you played in the foam.
I did a foam angel once.
Yeah.
Like we put all those, it was foam day.
Well,
And
that's the picture.
I literally
So
have
did he.
pictures.
Yeah.
And then I remember rolling, we're draining, carrying the hose. I'm like, man, why am I so itchy? I'm like, everyone
Yeah,
has
that-
hives all over. And then
that
I was
being
like,
said, though,
but that was
picture-
2014. So that's not a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's several years. I mean, that it wasn't like you got that picture taken and then went and got your PFAS test.
Yeah.
That's you know what I'm saying. I mean, you're talking about at least 8
So
years.
we're talking, 2014 is when I went through fire school. We were playing with foam, right?
Yeah.
Like
So over a decade.
Yeah,
It was
over a decade. Like we still didn't have the knowledge of like, hey, this stuff is bad for you. So, this is relatively new stuff that it's like, hey, this is an issue. We didn't know back then,
12 years ago.
So it's like it's going to be really interesting, especially with our prior, brothers that have had military service, who've done some tours, to get this data back because you got hazmat, like you said, special ops.
Well, the hazmat guys, they have to get special blood work every year, but
Yeah, they already do a comprehensive,
And
So-
do Do you have, Jason, the cancer numbers? How much more prevalent those 5? I think it's 5 different types of cancer are.
We do.
in the fire service?
Just not off
Not
the
in
top of
front
my
of you?
yeah, just not on top of my head. But yeah, so the reason how we got these ones on. So there's in the state of Florida, we have one of the best presumptive cancer laws, and because we came with real stats, and we have 21 on that list, and all of them were significantly higher than general public, right? You just because there might be 100 different cancers nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Different, there's some very rare ones. I mean, we get asked, not me, but our organization, the Florida Professional Firefighters. Well, why isn't this cancer covered? My husband got this one, and he was a firefighter, and he died, and I didn't get any benefit from it. We have widows doing that sometimes, and throughout the state. Fortunately, I've been fortunate not to have that experience.
That's tough.
Yeah, and it's like
Terrible.
you don't have the answer for it, but it's mostly it's not a good answer, right? But the answer is, well, we don't have the data on that one because a lot of rare cancers we don't have data on, especially the like leukemia and some of the blood cancers that's still developing. But we do have, I want to say, some of them that were on that list were almost 300% higher than the general public.
Jeez.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, and it's some of them were 67. So I remember.
And when was that?
So that bill has been DeSantis' first year he signed it. So that bill went 7 years ago,
Wow.
and we're actually exploring adding a couple more to that. You may see it sometime in the near future. We don't bring anything without the data. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we need with this stuff.
That's got to be a pretty occasional topic, right?
I would
every
like-
time you go up there, that has to be discussed, right?
It's an enhancement of a benefit,
Yep.
which is again one of the best presumptive benefits in the country.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But you want to be careful, right? So you have this great thing that protects our members. You also don't want to dilute it. You want to protect it. So you want to make sure when you go with, hey, we want to add a cancer or two to this, that you have the real data to say that. And there's a couple that are very close. And I think we'll be introducing those probably in the next few years.
Well, and no surprise to you, if we look at the numbers from the PFAS, what they've proven, the types of cancer increased by PFAS.
Yeah.
From what you told me, a couple of the cancers, they're overlapping. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then we do all of our departments that hire do a pre-employment physical, right? So we have a heart-lung presumption, and part of the heart-lung presumption is a clean pre-employment physical, right? You don't have any hypertension, you don't have any heart disease, you don't have any lung issues, et cetera. And if you get employed without any of those conditions, and then you develop them later on in life, you're covered under that provision, right? So maybe it's, through this process, maybe it's almost time to where when we get a new hire, that we do PFAS levels in their blood, right? And then
Yeah,
And
get a
then-
baseline.
and
Do
then-
it manually.
and then you do it each year at your annual physical
Yeah.
to see where you're at.
Yeah,
Right. And because that might, we may not get a department to sponsor people coming in and take your plasma, but if you see your markers going up incrementally each year and you say, well, fuck, I got to do something, right? So
Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you develop prostate cancer or something else.
yeah. So we do these annual physicals to help people with trends,
yep.
right?
That would be really interesting.
You start at 21 and you're the healthiest you've ever been in your life, and then 24 you're still pretty healthy, right? But now your cholesterol's a little up, right? The annual physical that we do,
You can see those markers.
you do it to watch your trends, to watch your own health trends, right? And then make corrective action throughout your career.
Well, and I think that would
Maybe
increase
PFAS
pressure.
Maybe
we have that
PFAS is
data.
time we did that, right?
Well, I also think we're going to see more into the PFAS, as in things we can do to eliminate. Like people have mentioned saunas.
Yeah.
Maybe saunas is an answer. So I guarantee we start seeing, that into some of these studies, the plasma, the whole blood. Like we may, because it's so new, we really don't have a lot to go off of other than plasma donation, which is
At the same time, though, it all starts with demand, right? I think you have to show the guys where they're at. If every year you're looking at a study and you're like, oh my goodness, now I'm at the 97th percentile, and I've got a wife and kids, right? It starts to change the formula in your head, it starts to change the pressure that's going to Tallahassee to get bills passed. It really could make a big difference just by incorporating the testing. And that's not a major thing.
I was at 93% with 10 years on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, you're right with the process. So in our annual physicals, we get blood work. So I'd mentioned like 2 years ago, I said, I'm not healthy. I need to get better. Right. What sparked that was my blood work from my physical that year. It was my worst blood work ever.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, fuck, man, I got to do something because I'm killing myself, right? And so it at least gets people in the idea of it, right? It gives them something to talk about, right? And maybe starts that. So maybe that's, eventually maybe that's the answer is annual at our physicals PFAS levels, right?
Yeah,
And
just another tool in the toolbox.
let everybody see, hey, you're at this. And then last year you're at this. And 5 years ago you're at this, right? And you need to do something different, right? And maybe it'll open eyes to the fire chiefs, right? Who, I mean, a lot of them are attuned to the idea, but if they're seeing the raw data, right? So Chief Wallentine at Sarasota County, a big health and fitness guru, and that's kind of his mission at Sarasota County. And he talks about trends, right? That's kind of one of the things he talks about is finding these trends. And then part of the reason he's absolute in that we need to do annual physicals is so that we can identify trends within the department you work for.
Yep.
So if your department is seeing they hide all the personal information, right? It just says, okay.
Yeah, for HIPAA.
Yeah. You have 550 firefighters at Sarasota County. Last year, this was the average PFAS level. This year, it's this. 3 years down the road, if you see it growing,
You got a trend.
what can we do better,
Well,
right? What can
it's
this
a great
department?
point.
What can this department do better?
It's a great point. So my mom, she's a cancer researcher, right? And she looks at cancers and it goes into a national database and they use that information to try to, increase quality of care for all of us, right? If you had every department in the state doing this, you'd have the ability to look at all the data and say, hey, why are the rates so much lower over here? What is this department doing that maybe the rest of us aren't, right? Or why is it worse in certain places than others, right? You can track progress of changes you're making in real time as well, at least on an annual basis, right? It gives you the data you need because without the data,
You don't know what
you know what I mean? You really don't know.
Darts.
You're just throwing darts.
Yeah, throwing darts.
And that's kind of what we were doing. We were throwing a dart when we
Yeah,
came
and then
across
we were like,
this.
let's throw a dart and then let's pull the data again. And I think both of us, we were just blown away. I mean, how could you not be? 3 months, we cut it in half, what should have taken 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, Doug. I mean, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and then I was like, once I got to go to Jason because Pete's like, what do we do now? I was like, I got to talk to Jason. I said,
Well, remember, you're talking about
put this on the radar.
You're talking about a firefighter and a finance guy. We had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
We're just like, we know we need to tell somebody.
I don't even think
Who
I
do we tell?
told anyone I was doing it. I think I just started
No,
doing
you
it.
didn't.
Yeah.
I knocked on his door.
I
and we
think you
started-
text me or call me out of the blue and said, "Hey, man, I got this thing I want to show you." And
Yeah, can I come in?
I mean, any member in this organization says, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something. Come on in." Like if I'm here, come on in.
And if you haven't been here, you need to stop by. This place is cool. Yeah, this is an awesome facility. It's for us.
pick up some merch.
Yeah, pick up some merch.
And so, thank you for doing that and sharing this with everybody because I think a lot of our members need to hear this stuff and try to be better at what we're doing. Again, we're never going to get out of this stuff, this gear. PFAS, I think, unfortunately, in America is here forever. We're working towards being better.
And that's the whole goal of this conversation is just get the word out here. Be like, hey, we can still do our job. We can still be firemen, do our thing. But what can we do to, at the end of the day, go back to our families and retire healthy?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And I think just reducing the number, right? If you can get it to a healthy societal level, at least you're not seeing 4 times the
It'll be
rate of
curious,
testicular
though.
cancer and other things.
With all like the construction workers, the nurses, like PPE throughout the board across, a lot of workplaces, PFAS everywhere. So it would be interesting to see other numbers of other occupations because it's not.
Well, I've looked into that. Okay. Yeah, I've looked into that. So manufacturing is another major one. Healthcare is another big one.
Yeah.
And when I say manufacturing, any chemicals manufacturing, think about plastics, rubbers, obviously, there's quite a bit of that everywhere. So whenever you think about those jobs that you're around raw material construction, auto plants, things like that, you're seeing much, much higher numbers.
So now
of
we're
some of
helping,
these chemicals.
other people too. It's just, this is,
100%.
yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good stuff. It's that shit. He just mentioned all that. My mind is just, I can't even calm it down right now. Just thinking about it. Holy shit. There's a lot of ways to go with
this
this.
is something that
Yeah.
really could, again, we're not healthcare experts.
No.
We're not scientists, right?
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
we're here because we think this may potentially save some lives.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
That's
right.
why we're
We've got
talking about
we've got no
Yeah.
other reason to be here.
Yeah, that when I started off the podcast today, I was like, these are the discussions I wanted to have on this show eventually. Like we're gonna have, electeds and others on here and other firefighters and eventually maybe some other doctors, some finance people, all the stuff that just educate our members. And so this is just these are what we built this podcast for, is education, right? And it's just to give our members another tool in the toolbox. Something to think about. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll see you back for the finance one.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. It's just important, this is on people's radar, just, hey, be aware of it. This is what we kind of know right now, just the different studies. And I think this year we're going to see a lot more studies come forward and at least have a better idea of what's going on.
Yeah, and at this point, advocate for yourself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, go do the research. Do the things we've done. Look up the
they're online.
Australian study.
Yeah.
It's online. Anybody can see it.
Dave
And again,
studies here at the office, like we talked about.
Yeah, stop by, pick them up. Dave, you HIPAA release, you're good there.
Yeah, 100%. He gave it to me. I said, hey, take this.
I'm
and I
kidding.
said,
I'm kidding.
I know. I mean, he came in. I think we had a board meeting like the next week. I printed out 15 copies of it and handed it to every board member that was there. I said, hey, man, just take this
What
home.
was the feedback?
Dude, they asked what my, we talked about it a little bit. And then I said, hey, my end goal of this is to find an organization. I'm hopeful it's SMH, if not somebody else, to
Or
engage.
university?
Yeah, engage with us in this process and have our guys from all these different departments we represent, just grab 10 from each one or five from some of our smaller ones and 20 from some of our bigger ones.
yeah, like a voluntary, hey,
Yeah.
if you want to be a part of this,
I would
here you go.
almost put it up as an open enrollment. Who wants
Yeah,
to
who
do
wants-
this?
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And if you get 200 people, great.
Yeah, and we do our own Australian study right here because we have 1,600 members. If I just get 25%, we got 400 guys.
You got to
400
take
guys
my
and girls.
you got to
It's a big
take my
deal.
day one data though.
Well, imagine being able to take your data to Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's what
right?
that's
like
so,
you said.
So the end goal is that, right? Is to the vision is, and the vision would be to have our own study here. Takes a year and a half to do, right? Develop with whatever organization we're with a release of the paper, the study and all like this Australian study is.
good
Is-
poster child
is
for
it-
you too.
Yeah,
Is this on Tallahassee's radar?
it is.
It is?
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
So they've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some very progressive. I know in South Florida and Palm Beach, they're talking about this stuff.
Have you shared this with any of those guys?
No.
Okay.
But we don't see each other a whole lot. We're going to see each other in a couple weeks, which I will be sharing at that point. But
Just on the podcast.
a lot of the FPF DVPs listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
So
And the whole goal of this study
Yeah.
is to improve and help the fire department. That's
Yeah.
my whole goal. I love the brotherhood. I love being part of the fire department.
Yeah.
So if this can just get the ball rolling of just
Yeah.
making us healthier, that was.
And I just wanted to help my brother out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If it
If
wasn't
we-
for Pete,
if we had, I don't know, we have 1,000 cancer cases, firefighter cancer cases in Florida in a 5-year period. If we take that 1,000 down to 200 just by doing something like this, then mission accomplished. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever
That's
going to
it.
get
the biggest deal you get. I mean, that'd be a huge deal.
Yeah, I don't ever think anything we do in life we're in an inherently dangerous job. So we're never going to get to net zero on anything we do, right?
Yep.
You're never going to eliminate firefighter deaths. We just signed up for it. Right?
100%.
It's kind of like the military. Like when you sign up to get shot at, there's a chance sometimes one of your guys could catch a bullet, right? So,
But even if you gave just one family more time with mom or dad,
Yeah.
that right there.
but the military developed Kevlar vests and Kevlar helmets and all this other stuff to keep their guys maybe from not.
100%.
Yeah. And that's why I'm
It's
so
never going to be zero, but it
I'm
could
so
be less.
proud of this self trial because it's like I went into it like just like, oh, Pete showed up at my door. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
I'm like,
he's my brother.
Trust me.
Yeah, the
I'm
Oliger,
not a doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know anything, but I did the research.
Yeah, we always take care of each other. The Oliger family is very close. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then when the numbers hit, I was like, oh my gosh. And then my goal of this study was to like, hey, I want to be all in. I'm still going to, put my gear on, do my job to my best ability, never lowered the level of care I've provided to the residents out at Longboat, still do my job, work out my gear, go to these fire conferences. And I cut my stuff in half just by donating plasma.
The way I
And
look at it,
that was
You didn't
like,
stop being a firefighter.
exactly.
100%.
And
You
I'm
didn't change
very
your life.
proud of that. And it was like, wow, that in itself was really moving. I remember calling Pete. I'm like, I cut it in half. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and all it cost was a couple $100 for the test,
And the
a
plasma
couple hours of
donations,
time.
the plasma donations paid for it.
The
After
second
the second one,
The
Pete
second
paid for the
yeah,
first one.
I did. Well, sometimes I have to give him a push.
Yeah,
No, I get it.
they're expensive tests.
Brotherly love.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes you got to kick him in the ass. I have a little brother. Now, he does more of the ass kicking on me than vice versa, but sometimes it's that way.
Well, he helps me with fitness. Obviously, he's not doing a very good job.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a work in progress.
It
Always.
is. It is. So, great discussion.
Yep.
One other thing we wanted to hit on today, because we were like, okay, while we're talking about PFAS, let's also talk about when we had a good discussion about our own journeys in sleep. So sleep disorders in the fire service, right? So I'm just, again, right off the data from the IFF and their stuff online. Nearly 40% of firefighters suffer from sleep disorders like insomnia, sleep apnea, or shift work disorder caused by 24, 48-hour shifts and chronic sleep disruption. These conditions drastically increase the risk of heart disease, mental health struggles, on-the-job vehicle crashes, and then long-term illness. Chronic sleep loss is directly linked to the leading causes of firefighter fatalities, including heart disease, metabolic disorders, and cancer. So, again, not doctors, right? So, but I've read deep on this, so I shared with you guys my journey. Part of me getting healthier was sleep hygiene, improving my sleep hygiene, right? So, my wife, because for some odd reason she cares about my health. I think she'd rather kill
She's
me
the
so
best.
so she can get my health
No
insurance.
survivor benefit on the pension.
Yeah. So she, last year for Christmas bought me an Oura ring because I was looking at them for myself and stuff.
It's
And
a great investment.
it helps me track my sleep, helps me track a lot of things, heart rates and HRV and all this other stuff I try to track, right?
Another thing, tracking trends.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Trending, right? And so it tells me, how my REM is, my deep, and I do my deep sleep, my REM sleep, my restorative sleep, that stuff, and all stuff I track. So, my sleep hygiene, part of me getting healthier was improving my sleep hygiene. And that was 8 o'clock, 8:30 rolls around. Okay, it's time to, my Oura ring will shoot me a thing, time to wind down. So, turn off lights, take my magnesiums, take my GABA,
Yep.
get my,
Get the mind right.
get set up, right? Just, either not watch TV or watch something that's, pretty benign. Like one thing I go to is the History Vault, on Prime, where I just watch, last night I was watching about General Grant,
Nice.
So it's just enough to like, okay, now I'm going to doze off, set the sleep timer. Setting up sleep hygiene, right? And it was just so mind-blowing to me that how much sleep matters to our health, right? If you're working out and you're not getting good sleep, you almost shouldn't be working out.
Yeah. The
Need
recovery,
the recovery.
is
Need the
essential.
recovery time.
Yeah.
It's so important. Like the best thing I did throughout all my training or whatnot, Garmin, like sleep number score. Yeah, it seems redundant and whatnot, but it does give you a baseline of like, okay, I know I can push a little bit harder, or I'm not feeling it as well. Like, I mean, you drink a beer and then you go to sleep with your Oura ring on. It's like you had the worst night's sleep ever, and it'll let you know it.
Yes.
It keeps you accountable.
Absolutely.
It really does.
I mean, one of the things I'm trying to get into now is raising my HRV, which I've kind of done a deep dive on that stuff. And one of the best ways to do that is make sure you're getting restorative sleep.
Yep.
Right. And not working out too much, like overexerting yourself. Right. And finding that happy medium of working out well and getting restorative sleep so that you can do it again the next day. Like it's and then you build on that.
Yep.
Right?
So what are some things you're doing besides the pre-bed routine? Are you not eating a certain amount of time before
Yes,
bed? That's a
enough.
big part of it,
Oh,
right?
that is. Thank you. Yeah, that is. Like what time's dinner at the station, Jameson?
6 o'clock.
You goddamn right it is. So like
We eat at 6.
yeah, I will tell you straight up. Like I worked on another shift at our station, and they were playing pickleball or something, and they're like, "What time?" I'm like, I went out there, and it was like 5:45. I'm like, "Dude, what time are you guys eating?" He's like, "Oh no, we usually, we're gonna order food, and it's gonna be here at 7:30." I'm like, "Well, I'm out." And I'm like, "No, because seriously, because
I know,
sleep.
because
It ruins your
that's like if Jason, his one demand is like,
There's a
today will
6.
not be thrown out.
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock
Firm.
dinner. Like outside of us being on a call,
Yep.
6 o'clock is dinner because after 7, I'm not eating. Like it just screws my sleep up.
100%.
Right? And so I'm very cognizant of that, right? And I'm like, hey man, dinner's at 6. Even my wife like gets a little perturbed by it because she's, like, why do we got to eat this time? Well, because if I don't eat now, I'm not eating.
But
Did you get some of the blue light glasses too?
No, I haven't
You haven't gotten that far yet?
No,
Not that
You
deep
know
down
what's
the rabbit
I
hole?
haven't gotten the red light bed, right? Because I know Rogan has a bed that has red light on it. Listen, I've read about those too, and also if I had 10 grand laying around, I probably would. But
you know
For
what's
the red light
crazy
bed.
though? You ask any fireman, like even I take magnesium before I sleep. A lot of guys, it's like, what's your regiment? Like, all right, well, I take magnesium, I take ashwagandha, I take this, that, and before I go to sleep, like it's a problem.
Yeah.
And we know it. It's like
Yeah.
you don't sleep well at the station, you run a few calls, you transport, boom, that's a big turnaround time.
Yeah.
You go home, it's like, I need to take a nap.
Yeah.
But you got to do all this before. I mean, it is crazy, but the state of Florida is kind of trending in a shift friendly way.
it is with the
Yeah,
so
with
I think the whole country is, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
The 24/7 is popping up in Virginia now, Texas, Washington State.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it is and it should be, right? And now the fire service, just like anything else, 280 years unimpeded by progress, is going to be dragged kicking, screaming to what should happen, right? And that's, I think, I was talking to a fire chief a few weeks ago, and it's his belief, and he's been doing this a long time. It's his belief that at some point the state of Florida is probably going to mandate it, and I'm with him on it. I think we're about 5 or 6 years away.
It's not a long time though.
No.
It's not, but it's not tomorrow, right? And I have members who are wanting it tomorrow, and some way to get there, right? We're in contract negotiations in Sarasota County.
Things are trending that way.
Well,
I mean, the domino is falling, so it's like, hey guys, this is the inevitable. It's gonna.
Yeah, and so I think we're going to have those discussions at a lot of places here in 2546 very shortly, right? How do we get there? Because that's going to become the new model.
And is sleep what catapulted the 24/72s?
Yeah.
Is that what that came
Yeah,
to the table?
it's
Here's a study.
Yep.
And it was
It absolutely,
same.
It absolutely was. So shift work is by definition, a level 2 carcinogen all by itself.
Really?
That's wild.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And what's defined as shift work? Like 12-hour blocks, 24-hour blocks? Like
Yes. So what we do, right? And so it's and because up north they do 12s, right?
yeah,
Some of them
day
do-
and night tours. Yeah, it
that's
gets crazy.
We have a Portland model now where it's like 24 on, 24 off, 24 on, 72 off, 24 on, 96. It's like a weird schedule, stuff like that.
So any form of shift work, probably.
yeah, and listen, there's some departments, and most of them are rural, don't run a lot of calls in a shift, that are going 48.96, right, in Florida. And it's like, hey, look, we got a 48. That's no different. That's no difference, right? Yeah, you get 4 days at home, but it's still a 56-hour work week. Just recalculate it, right?
Yep.
And so because in that 48 hours, your department expects you to do some stuff, right? You're not sleeping.
You're at work.
Yeah. And you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, dude, well established, Longboat Key, isn't exactly the busiest department in the area. However, when I'm at work, I don't sleep well because it's in the back of my mind. What, I may get a call, right? I just don't sleep well, right? And
You aren't recovering.
yeah, there's no recovery there, right? And I'm always up throughout the night.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see sleep is impacting all of us in the fire service. It's like guys are losing their hair. They have low T. They're not feeling.
Do they educate you guys on sleep?
So traditionally no, but I think they're getting to that point, right? They have to at some point. And guys like him who are now our new group of health leaders who understand it, because eventually he's going to be taking over our wellness and fitness program, through our department. But like I said, long-term metabolic disorders. There is rampant low T throughout our fire service right now, right? And
It's a big problem.
yeah, and mostly attributed to sleep disorder, interruption of
the circadian rhythm.
circadian rhythm, interruptions, and that's why the 24/72 has been so prevalent. Is it allows you, even if you do overtime, it allows you 2 nights at home to sleep, right? Because right now we have a recruitment retention. We have a staffing problem in Florida, and
Throughout the state.
and in a lot of places, guys are either volunteering for overtime because it's readily available and they need a little extra money, or they get mandated in a lot of places, and so it's like a reverse Kelly day. It's like instead of 24 on, 48 off, you're doing 48 on, 24 off. Well, and then you go home, and you don't really get the sleep you need because you're waking up early the next day to go back to shift.
God forbid you have kids.
Oh yeah, no, you don't even get into that shit. Right?
I have a 2-month-old, so it's a little prevalent.
Let's not get into that,
my
right?
God.
And so,
Luckily, I'm not a firefighter. It'd be tough.
yeah, and so like insomnia, it says even right here, in mental health, which we're struggling with, right? Insomnia and poor sleep are heavily correlated with an increased likelihood of developing depression, anxiety, and PTSD.
I think that's been the coolest thing about the fire department in the past 5 years is the active push for mental health.
Yeah.
It's
that's
great to see.
Well, are they doing something for the testosterone as well? Are they offering TRT therapy through the Department of
No,
Health?
well, they're not. I mean,
Because that affects men's mental health. It affects sleep. It affects
absolutely right.
so much. It's the most important male
so
hormone.
eye-opening to me when I started my journey, and it isn't even so much testosterone levels, because like at our department for a while before we got this new system, they were just testing
Total?
total
Instead
right.
of free.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Total, right. So
And it's the free that matters.
so my total was like within normal limits. Well, then I went to an endocrinologist, found out my free was like fucking 4. It's like
Ooh.
You can have 800T, but if none of it's available,
so that's
it's
what,
useless.
because I was trying to figure out why at like 2:00 in the afternoon I need a fucking nap, right? And I'm like, I'm not old. I'm not 70 years old. I get it. If I was 70 years old, I need a nap. Yeah, I'm old, right? But,
what was, if you don't mind me asking, estrogen levels, were they elevated?
I can't remember. Okay. Yeah.
You see it a lot where the testosterone levels are low, estrogen's elevated.
Yeah, and it's throwing you off, right? And and on the flip side, female firefighters, again, we don't have as many of them, but the progesterone. Thank you. Finding that.
I know way too much about this stuff.
Yeah. Finding that is wrecked in them, which affects their sleep and other things.
Well, it's the chemicals and the sleep, the combination of both destroy your body's natural hormones.
Yeah.
And when your hormones go sideways,
Yeah.
mental health, physical fitness,
It's all very real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
well, you're seeing it in the numbers.
Yes.
and right here it says insomnia is experienced by up to 52% of firefighters in some studies. High stress environments and hypervigilance, anticipating emergency calls make it difficult to fall and stay asleep. So, and obstructive sleep apnea affects roughly 28% of firefighters. I'm one of them, right? So, this is about 4-ish years ago now. My wife would tell me that she would hear me like stop breathing at night, right? I don't know, which I would ask, why are you up listening to me breathing, you crazy,
Wake me up.
crazy woman, right? And so you just watching me die, right? So no, I'm kidding. So So anyway, so I went to a sleep specialist. And initially, the sleep specialist was like, well, I did a at home, again, because insurance is what it is, and blah, blah, blah. So they made me do an at home study, and the study came back that I wasn't sleep apneic per protocol because I only had 7 apneic events in an hour.
Same thing happened to me.
Instead of
Only
I'm in the same
7?
boat.
instead of 8. So I was only dying 7 times an hour,
I
but
had-
8 makes you sleep
That's
apneic,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, I was like
Didn't
6. That's funny.
Didn't meet the criteria.
Yeah. So his
That's crazy.
advice at times, well, maybe you drop some weight and da, da, da. So that's part of what started my mission, and that and my blood work. I said, okay, so
You didn't tell me any of this. You're like, hey, I'm just trying to lose weight. And I was
Yeah.
like, here it is.
yeah, well,
None
of
and
your
so,
business.
And, and so I dropped like 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I've dropped like almost 50.
Congratulations, by the way. It's a constant struggle.
Total. It
It's
is.
tough.
Me, it's mostly diet, right? And because I'm generally pretty active, I'm on my feet a lot, but for me, it's diet.
You've done a complete 180 though.
Yeah.
100%.
So I dropped 30 pounds. I go back to the guy and say, well, my wife still sees me doing this. So they bring me in for a study, find out I'm getting like 11 apneic events. And, oh, yeah, you really have sleep apnea. No shit, I've been telling you that. But because this little home test didn't register one more than it needed
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
I've been
That's-
dying for 3
Well,
years. Thank you.
I was
You know.
fortunate when I did my home test. The doc told me the same thing. He said, but it is mild. And if you'd like, we can still, get it for you. You can try it out. And we did.
Ah.
What a difference it made.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go through going in and getting that actual in-house sleep study done,
No,
thankfully.
I did, unfortunately. I guess I'm going to, next time I see my dog, I'm going to kick him right in the cod sack.
You should have
but-
called me first. I would have given you
Yeah,
my
yeah. So put me on the CPAP, and I remember thinking the first night I did it was like, holy crap, this is what real sleep feels like, right? Because I'm not dying. I'm not.
Woke up actually refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
That's a
Now-
game changer.
Now, just like anything, your body gets used to it, so it's not as good as that first.
But have you tried sleeping without it
No, yeah, it's
recently?
terrible.
No, then it reminds you real quick. you know?
Yeah. So it's terrible. So then, with that, it says right here, 28% frequent nighttime wakings and interrupted breathing, reduced restorative sleep, drastically
Yeah.
increasing cardiovascular metabolic. That was the other thing. I've noticed my blood pressure was ticking up, right? And then when I got the CPAP, my blood pressure got back to normal because I wasn't, stressing myself out at nighttime trying to live
Yeah.
in my sleep. And then insomnia, it says experienced by up to 52% of firefighters in some studies, high stress environments and hypervigilance. So even with the CPAP, so eventually was going to my doc, went to my doc, and I shared this in last week's episode a little bit. So I went to my doc, my PCP, and said, hey, listen, really work on my sleep hygiene and all this stuff. I have no problem falling asleep, but then I'm finding myself waking up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, almost like I'm at the station and shit like that, and even when I'm at home. And she called it sleep anxiety, right? Because the body's tuned in to not ever really.
You're
getting-
waiting for an alarm to go
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. So I ended up having to get on some pharmaceuticals to keep sleep, right? Because I sleeping
Yeah.
for 5 hours is not good.
I have that same problem.
He's made comments, that
I-
you do the same.
I do the same thing. I'll wake up, and then also I have this other problem where it's like I can fall asleep anywhere.
Yeah.
You put me in this chair, and like my wife
'Cause
gives
you're
me a hard time.
constantly exhausted and tired.
Like, it's just you don't get the good sleep. It's like I could, just
Yeah.
put me in a metal chair, I'll fall asleep
yeah,
sitting up.
So shift work, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to the interruptions, circadian rhythms. That's why the 24/72 has been so prevalent. If you really care about, and I know a lot of our fire chiefs do, and honestly, I'll say this right now. I think all of our fire chiefs, to be honest with you, if they can get the powers that may be that control the checkbook to allow them to have a fourth shift tomorrow, they would do it tomorrow. They really would. Like it's not them stopping this. There is a dollar amount to all this stuff, right? And you have to get to that point with that, and that's part of what I do with the political stuff is to try to get us to that point. But there is a cost to all this, right? Because figure out how many you have on a shift. Now
you need people too.
you need that. You need that, right? So in our case at Longbow, small department, right? So 11 a shift. Well, we need to hire 11 more, right? Well, that's
Another 700,000 a year.
no, way more. It's 1.4 because of the
Benefits.
Yeah,
and
the pension.
sure.
The pension's 34% of salary, all that other shit, right? In FRS.
Yeah.
So it's 1.4, 1.5 more.
Overnight.
Well, considering your whole fire department budget's $9 million.
Does that all come from property taxes?
Majority
is there concerns about the, not to get too political?
Oh yeah,
but-
there's deep concerns about that, but that's a whole nother episode.
Okay,
That's an
sorry.
episode by itself. Don't get. That's what makes me get
Save
up.
that rabbit hole for another day.
Now he's not sleeping tonight.
Those things get me up at 3 a.m.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, because if that comes to fruition, I don't know what the hell half our departments are going to do. So that's a part of it too. Is that right? So we have this push in the state to possibly
Eliminate.
and at least, or at the very least, reduce a funding source. So how do you reduce a funding source and then go? Oh, by the way, we need 33% increase in budget, right?
Well, the state makes it up until they can't,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Until they have a couple bad years.
Yeah, and there's no good answer to it yet. So we'll see how that unfolds. But yeah, I think every chief we have would say tomorrow, be like, okay, you guys want 24/7, done, right? If it was their own checkbook, they didn't have a boss who said otherwise, they would all do it. Every one of them would do it tomorrow. It's getting the electeds to that understanding, education, right? That's part of my job, and having a process to it, because also the other thing, you can't just flip a switch. Like you can't just hire. There isn't. If you did it in our local, I'm venturing you say you'd have to hire 500 guys, 500 guys and girls, right? Well, there isn't 500 people on the street waiting for this job, right? And that's not even. And then you have to have lieutenants, you have to have captains, battalion chiefs, whatever, however you have. So you have to get promotions in line. I don't know how many people are in the organization willing or able to promote. So there's that process, right? So it takes time. I think you see like Pasco County and Gainesville and Palm Beach,
Marion,
Palm Beach. Well, Marion had to do it in year 3. Like a lot of them.
Yeah,
do it.
I don't.
They
yeah,
space it
they're
out.
phasing. Yeah,
You have to phase it in. You absolutely have to phase it in because you can't flip the switch as much as you want to. You just couldn't just we're going to hire.
yeah. It's crazy to see the
Yeah,
domino fall though.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Well,
it seems
Are
like
they
every
doing
week
it
now.
station by station then? Is that kind of how you have to
No,
phase it in?
mostly what you have to do is one, you have to set the goal, right? Okay, we're going to do this, and you sign a new contract and you say we're going to do this. Again, just going off the playbook others have put out there. 3rd year of the contract, right? So it gives you 2 full fiscal years of hiring, right? So you hire and you put extras on the engines.
Yep. Get them time on the job.
Yeah, get them time on the job
Experience.
because you couldn't just have, let's say you had to hire 100. You can't just have 100 rookies show up one day. You don't have enough spots to train them.
And now you're splitting up all the
Yeah.
shifts to spread the
Yeah.
seniority. I'm sure.
Yeah, and then you got to put it out there. You also got to, so then you got to have promotions, right? You got to get lieutenants in place. Like
Captains, chiefs.
yeah, like Northport has a new station. Even just when you open a new station, you have to have 3 more lieutenants, right? 1 for each shift. 4 more guys or 6 more guys, depending on what the staffing is. So you got to put those in place. So like Northport, I'll use an example. They're building a brand new station, 87. They've promoted. They've gone through a promotional process to have those guys ready to go when that station opens, right? They've hired over the last 2 years an extra guy or 2 each year and put them on an engine to get them training and all that stuff to have in that place. They had engineers. They have engineers. They got those guys in order.
It's awesome.
So when the lights click on in that station,
It's up and
they're
operating.
ready to
day
go,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a bunch of newbies.
It's
you
not- yeah,
got
it's
a
not-
lot of people who
it's
know
not
what they're
dudes
doing.
who just
Yep.
hired 6 weeks ago, just got off orientation, right? So you got to put that process in place. So that's why the majority. I mean, when I say majority, I think all these departments said when they signed that contract, they said we're going to 24/72. They all put it in the 3rd year. It gives the organization time to fund it, budget for it, hire for it, get people in place for it. Listen, the departments who have gone to 24/72 have no problem recruiting for it, right? They get.
That's a huge sell.
It's a huge
Yeah.
sell, right?
People are leaving other departments to go.
Like Marion County
Yeah.
now, the Marion County's doing it. Gainesville had it, right? So that's right. So City of Ocala, if they don't do it, they're going to not have a fire department soon.
Yeah.
Between Gainesville and Marion County,
I mean,
24/72 departments. Like
100%.
Why would you work for Ocala other than you had to?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
So
incredible
Talk
for
about a
those
huge
guys.
change.
Oh, my God.
From when he was there to now.
Oh, no,
I
huge
couldn't be
change.
happier for those guys.
Yeah, huge change.
They're awesome. You know them through Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Well deserved, long deserved, and long overdue.
Yeah.
Tough fire school.
Well,
Yes, and
but-
Florida State.
and Marion County was having suicide issues, right? We talked
Yeah.
about that. They had a rash.
A lot of buddies I worked with.
I was gonna say, he
It's
had a
really
couple buddies.
and so
Yeah.
this was educating the elected body to say, because they were asking questions like, what the hell's going on? And part of it was like, hey, listen, here's all this data shows that this is a real toll on us being here for 24, 48. And in case of Marion County, 48, 24 because of staffing issues. You know how you fix your staffing issues, right? You go 24, 72. Why? Because you'll be able to recruit anybody, right? And two, it fixes your other issues because now people are rested, coming to work. They got energy. They've had 3 days off, right? All kinds of good stuff that goes with it. They have a good work-life balance, which is important.
It's a
to today's
busy
firefighter.
department
Well,
too.
and in
Yeah.
Marion's case, they fixed the pay.
Yeah.
Well, that too.
I mean,
Fix the
when
pay,
you're
the
running
time.
calls all day long that
Yeah.
are really hard, and you're going home and you've got debt and you've got whatever else and a family. I mean, it's not. You know,
Yeah.
what does that do for your mental health?
Yeah. I mean, pay is a part of it. And I also think now, even today's firefighter, you know, I was talking with our trustees about this. You know, when I got on the job, all we cared about was wages, right? Just pay me more. I'm fine working overtime and all the, and maybe that was probably not the best thing to do, right? Today's firefighter cares more about work-life balance, as they should,
And long-term benefits.
and long-term health, right? Taking care of themselves. And I've evolved in that aspect to where I'm more like, yeah, makes sense, right? If I'm doing my job as a leader of this organization, looking after my firefighters, well, then this is the gold standard, right? And I'm now represent 14 different organizations. None of them have it. That's a problem for me, right? So hopeful to get a few in there here in the next 2-3 years. And then I think the dominoes will fall here locally because,
That's crazy. None of
get
the
one or two-
14 have one.
yeah, you get one or two,
Yeah, and
especially a
that's
big
all.
one,
Yep.
especially one big one. You get one big one, then everybody in town has to do it or they can't compete anymore.
Yeah, or,
right?
and you have people jumping ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean some of the fixes, like I know some of these departments, in order to hire officers, allow for lateral moves. You know, if you had 10 years somewhere and you're
Yep.
a lieutenant, you come in and you
They'll bring you
test,
in with that seniority.
and
Well,
you,
that-
and you
that's
come
what
in with lieutenant. right?
Marion's doing that too.
Yeah, because
because
you almost have to.
30 something stations.
Yeah,
It's like
you almost have to in
Yeah.
some of the bigger organizations, right? You have to do lateral moves.
Yep.
And
Will they do that with people coming from down north or just within the state?
so I don't know. I think each department would be different. But if you're coming from up north, you still have to get a state of Florida certification to work here. Right? So that's a process, but not a hard process, but it's a process. I think the departments would be open to it. I know there's places up north who take our guys lateral moves.
Yeah, well, I
had one.
think Miami or somewhere over there is doing that with police officers, right?
Yeah, yeah. I know of a guy here who used to work for City of Venice went up to North Carolina and
They gave him seniority or whatever. it
yeah, he
is.
was a lieutenant here. They made him a captain. up
Really?
there. Yeah. So then, you know, and I see Texas doing it a lot. Where I see Texas departments come from.
There's recruiting out
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah. It has the nation. It's not just Florida. The nation is going through a
shortage.
yeah. These jobs aren't as sexy, I guess, for lack of a term, as
yeah,
before.
not
right?
attractive. Yeah,
Yeah. You know, and so we all
a lot of
have-
people want to work from home.
Yeah,
you know.
we have all gotten creative on how we hire and retain people. It used to be you just threw money at the problem. Like, hey man, okay, we have a problem with recruitment and retainment. We'll just give them a $20,000 raise and everybody's happy, right? Until the neighboring departments do the same thing to compete with you, right? So right now, the thing to make yourself stand out is the 24/72. There's about 12 departments, I think, in Florida doing it now. All of them have had great success doing it. And if we're getting back to the sleep thing, helps with that, right?
Boca's sitting over there like, we've been doing this for years.
You know,
They've been doing it for a
Was
long
Boca
time.
the first one? Do you know?
so Boca has been doing it.
Probably before I got hired.
Yeah. So
Yeah, like
so I got
a long time.
I went to a convention in Boca, an FBF convention in Boca, and that's it's over 10 years ago, and they were doing it then.
That's probably one of the most desired.
They were the only department in the state doing it. Like everyone was like, "Oh, look, Boca has 24/72." That was the only department doing it for like over a
long
decade.
What was the feedback I'm sure you've talked to some of these guys, right?
Yeah. They love it. I mean, obviously they love it. And then Boca's pay was the same with everybody else, but they just paid did 24/72. So if they had an opening, a guy retires, no one really ever left there, right? I mean, I'm sure you have every exception to the rule. Somebody got passed over and wants to do something else, but when people retire from there, they'd have like a spot open, and they have like 120 guys trying out for one spot.
Wow.
You get whatever the hell you want when you were the only one doing it. But same thing's happening now with the 24/72s, where people, chiefs will complain, oh, the state has a problem with recruitment. No. Your department has a problem with recruitment and retainment because you're not paying right. Your wages and benefits are subpar. Like the Florida fire chiefs, their solution to the problem was, well, the cops get a $5,000 signing bonus for new cops. We should get one for firefighters too to help us recruit. No, you know what helps you recruit? Have the best fucking wages and benefits in the whole area. You'd never have to worry about recruitment.
You can't have places, in the Midwest,
Yeah.
like Illinois and Iowa, that have higher wages and higher benefits while our cost of living is much more.
Yeah.
And expect people to want to move here
So
to do these jobs.
What's happening is there are fire chiefs. Again, I'm going to say we have some great ones here, but there are fire chiefs throughout the state. One of them came into one of our FPF executive board meetings and talked to us about stuff. He has a $160,000 a year job, and he was the one trying to get us on board with, being supportive of their idea to get a $5,000 recruitment bonus. And we're like, no, we have all kinds of problems with that on a just philosophical basis. One, no. Like if you have a problem with your recruitment and attainment, you should be going to your elected body and saying, I have a problem with recruitment and attainment, and this is why. They don't do that. Why? They got to stick their fucking neck out. And the last thing they want is their neck getting chopped off from a $160,000 job. Or, well, if we have a recruitment problem, it's your fault, chief, right? They don't want that. So they try to blame it on something else. No, what it has to do is you haven't gone to your elected body, educated them on what's going on in the fire service, why your department has a recruitment and retainment problem, and get the shit done. We saw it in Charlotte County, right? We had a fucking bad fire chief. Changed that. Got a good fire chief who went right to the elected body, did exactly that, got a pay increase, got some other things changed some of the policies around there. Now the guys love coming to work. Recruitment, retainment problem, fucking fixed, right? Changing leadership, right? So if you're a fire chief and you're trying to figure out why you have a recruitment, retainment problem, it's time to take that fucking thing called a mirror, stare into it long and hard, and figure out what the fuck you're not doing, right? And it comes that simple. And so we have
It's top down.
Yeah, chiefs going and doing that, and then some, pretending like it doesn't exist. These problems still exist. They're going on in the fire service. They're killing our members. If you actually cared about your people, this shouldn't be a discussion any longer. Right? But that's just me.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah.
Hey, all these, like you said, we're bringing
Well,
it
I
to the
think if
table.
you
We're
took a poll
going
of
through
everyone
it.
listening to this podcast, they would agree with you. So
Yeah.
people just want to be taken care of.
There's literally, booklets. The IFF has it on feeling sleep deprived, help is on the horizon. There's an article there.
Yeah, the sleep studies are
Yeah.
extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of think about all of this we're talking about holistically,
Yeah.
right? And you
Yeah.
think about the problems you have with the sleep and the health and everything else. The benefits that you're talking, it should be included in the job with this much hazard,
Yeah.
right? I think it kind of goes without saying. It's
Yeah.
a tough job,
So-
and you can't eliminate all these things, but
So the John Q. Public or guy running for office who says, because there's currently one running for Congress right now who literally was out there saying that the first responders shouldn't get all the benefits they do, does not understand the stuff we exposed. Now, I get it. We signed up for it, right?
100%.
No one makes us do this job, right? We can quit tomorrow. There was a long time where it was like, okay, they get a pension, which a lot of people don't get anymore, et cetera, but it's in lieu of pay and some other stuff because they do all this other shit that nobody else wants to do. And now that's going on a lot. Like what are you going to do when you call 911? No one shows up because there's no more firefighters. As far as I know, there ain't a robot that does my job. And AI hasn't figured out how to do my job yet. If I was in HR, I'd be concerned about AI. But right now, AI hasn't figured out how to pick up a fire hose and or treat medically on the streets, right? So until that happens, the public should be concerned of the lack of firefighters that are available. Add that to the growth in Florida, right? So, we're landlocked at Longboat, but the counties, the cities that are not landlocked, growing exponentially every day, that have to put in new stations, that have to be, we just talked about Northport, right? That have to staff those stations. It's going on, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So how do you fix that problem, right? So it's to make, I think that's what we tried to do with House Bill 929, took the Fire Chiefs Association, kicking and screaming to that. In fact, try to get it killed at the end there, and we ended up having more political might than they did. Kicking and screaming because, oh, I didn't get that. Oh, you don't need that. Well, bullshit. Listen, if we become if the standard in the state of Florida next election or next legislative cycle says all fire departments by 2030 have to be 24/72, fucking every firefighter in all these other Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, they're trying to figure out how the fuck to get here.
Yeah.
Recruitment problem fixed. Right. If we became the first
competition.
If we came to the first state in the union that said that's the standard, like Maryland's done it creatively. What Maryland just did in this last legislative process in their state level was say, you're going to pay overtime on every hour over 42 hours. So departments can elect to either go to for 24/72,
and it makes it that, right?
Yeah. Or if you want to stay on a 56 or a 50 or a 48 work cycle, every hour over that now is overtime. Right? You're going to pay for it.
And that.
Yeah, and that's
there's a price.
There's a price to that, right? So you got to figure out that happy medium, right? And so Maryland is doing it creatively, right? We may be able to do that one day here, or just make it the standard. Says, okay, again, like I said, 2030 effective, January 1, 2030.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the fire department trends in the next 5 years. Because when the pandemic hit, it was like everybody wanted to work from home.
Yep.
Guys weren't going to fire school. It was a weird time, and I think we're starting to see the impact of that throughout the state.
Yeah.
kids
COVID kids
just wants to stay, work from home from their laptop. Nobody wants to clock in.
Yeah, I mean, we used Gilbert Marsh, who was our longtime secretary treasurer for the FPF, just recently, about 2 years ago, retired finally. Worked for Milton Fire Department up in the Panhandle. When he started, again, I'm aging Gilbert here from Milton. He was 24 on, 24 off. That was what they did.
Wow.
So he said it was real easy where you need. He's like, it was real easy to figure out where you needed to be. If you woke up at work, you went home. If you woke up at home, you went to work, right?
Yeah,
24
that's what it was. Yeah,
and that was the fucking standard, right? And then somewhere along the line, probably kicking and screaming, the Chiefs went to a 24/48, right? And there was probably Chiefs back then that said, "Well, no, you don't need that. We didn't do it that way. I didn't get that." Right? That's all you hear from some of them. Now, again, there's a certain group of Chiefs throughout the state getting dragged, kicking, and screaming to the idea that, hey, man, it's 4 platoons. That's the standard. So anyway,
who ultimately do you have to convince? Who's making these decisions?
this is a checkbook, people. Legislative body.
Well, a huge problem is now you got departments doing it. Now people are jumping ship. If a local department goes to 24/72, new recruits coming in are going to be like, I'm working there.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot for the fire service too.
Well, so I said, if you get one here locally,
it's going to be a big
it's
deal.
going to force the hands of many of them because, listen, this fire departments are, we all talk to each other. If somebody's getting better insurance or better this or better that, everybody knows that. Like, it's no hidden secret. Everybody knows what everybody's getting. People will jump ship.
And now you're seeing the study of the sleep and all this stuff. It's like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like you said, benefits.
Yeah, you're coming into
Bennett's
the
not allowed to
service.
pay
You're
anymore.
like,
Yeah.
It's no secret what's killing us. It's no secret what's hurting us. If a department, you know, stands by like, hey, we're putting our guys first, that's a place you're going to gravitate, you know, new recruits, or even take a guys with, you know, a couple years on, you might bring them over. So it's a big draw.
It is.
Health and wellness and
where it's
health
at.
after the job.
That's where
It's
it's
a
at.
big draw.
That's where it's at.
Yep.
Right. And, well, we'll see how it goes. So I think we've been doing this for about 2 hours, so we probably need to kick
Yep.
off.
Has it been 2 hours already?
Is it really?
That's what happens with these shows. Jameson probably, was probably somewhere around there. But,
Thanks for having us on.
brothers,
Yeah, really
so-
appreciate
so-
you
Really
having us on.
appreciate it.
well, I appreciate you guys being on, right? And sharing your journey. We got, we talked about PFAS, a little bit about sleep disorders. We got into 24/72, why that's probably, should be coming up for everybody. Pete, thanks for being on here.
Yeah,
thanks
thanks
for
for
you guys
having me.
having your, spending your afternoon with me. I don't think we have anything else, Jamie.
No, we're good.
All right. Well, I think with that, we're gonna sign off. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Jason.
Yep.
Thank you.